Welcome to our channel Echoes of the Dark, where we tell you real-life stories. Imagine walking past a centuries-old portrait in a dimly lit gallery, its eyes locked on you. You feel something strange, a chill, a flicker of movement. You turn away, but someone swears they just saw it. Blink. You're not alone. Visitors from all over the world have reported the same unsettling experience. A 19th century portrait, painted with remarkable detail, seems to come alive after dark. Skeptics call it nonsense. But what if I told you the truth is far stranger than fiction? This is the story of a woman whose eyes have stared from the canvas for over 150 years, and the terrifying legends that surround her. The portrait hangs in an old English estate, once home to a wealthy aristocratic family whose name has been all but forgotten, except for hers. Her name was Eleanor Greaves. She was known for her beauty, her cold demeanor, and one other thing, her obsession with being remembered. Some say Eleanor feared death more than anything. Others whisper that she made a pact, one that would keep her image alive, literally forever. Now, before you dismiss this as just another ghost story, listen to what's been documented. A night security guard at the estate resigned after only 2 weeks on the job. He reported hearing soft footsteps echoing through the halls after midnight. Not the clumsy thud of a visitor, but the graceful, deliberate steps of a woman in heels. Every time he went to check, there was no one. But each night he found the portrait slightly changed. Eleanor's gaze seemed shifted, as if watching a different part of the room. A historian visiting to catalogue the estate's artifacts stayed overnight. She said she awoke to the feeling of being watched. When she turned on the lights, Eleanor's painted eyes seemed to be looking straight into hers. She laughed it off until she reviewed her recordings, a subtle blink. Barely perceptible. But there, once, at 3:11 a.m., you could say it's the power of suggestion, a trick of the light, our minds playing with us in the darkness. But that doesn't explain the other part of the story, the part no one wants to believe. Eleanor's family died out one by one in strange and sudden ways. Her husband was found drowned in the estate's reflecting pool. Her daughter vanished during a snowstorm, without a trace. And Eleanor, she was found seated, eyes wide open, in the very chair that now sits beneath her portrait. The same chair visitors sometimes claim they see moving, ever so slightly, by itself. A few years ago, a local artist became obsessed with the painting. She visited weekly, sketching Eleanor, studying her technique, trying to replicate the gaze. One night, she stayed past closing. Staff found her the next morning sitting in the same position Eleanor was found in, frozen, unblinking, staring up at the portrait. She never painted again. Why does this story grip people so deeply? Maybe it's the idea that art, something meant to capture life, might actually contain it, too. That somewhere between oil and canvas, pigment and brushstroke, something lingers. But let's pull back for a second. Could there be a rational explanation? Experts have examined the painting under infrared light, X-rays, even AI analysis. Nothing unusual. No moving parts, no embedded tech, no signs of forgery. And yet, every time they leave it alone, the reports continue. Some researchers say that certain paintings, especially from the 1800s, used materials that subtly shift over time, organic compounds in the paint that react to humidity or temperature. Could this explain the illusion of movement? Maybe. But can science explain the feeling in your chest when you stand in front of that painting alone? I've spoken to people who were brave or foolish enough to spend a night near Eleanor's portrait. One of them, a documentary filmmaker, said it was the most terrifying experience of his life. Not because he saw her blink, but because he didn't. It was worse, he told me. It was the silence, the waiting, like she knew I was watching and was choosing not to blink yet. But here's the twist. This painting, it was almost destroyed. During a renovation in the 1980s, curators considered removing it entirely, replacing it with a more modern piece. But every attempt to move it failed. The workers complained of dizziness, nausea, and once a full blackout. The equipment malfunctioned. The frame refused to budge. Eventually, they gave up, and the portrait stayed. Some say Eleanor wanted it that way, others say she needed it that way. And here's something even stranger. When the portrait is photographed, sometimes the image is off, a shadow that isn't there in real life, a slight blur around the eye. There's even one photo where her mouth appears to be just barely parted. And no, it's not Photoshop. I've seen the negatives. If you're thinking of visiting the estate, be warned. The staff have rules. Don't visit alone. Don't touch the frame. Phew. And whatever you do, don't look away for too long. Because people who do often report the same thing. When they look back, her expression has changed. If you've made it this far, you're probably wondering, what do I believe? I'll tell you. I believe that some stories last because they have something to say. Eleanor's may be a cautionary tale, a whisper from the past about vanity, mortality, and the price of being remembered. Or maybe, just maybe, it's not a story at all. Maybe she really is still watching. And if she's watching, who's to say she isn't watching you? If this story gave you chills, don't forget to like the video. Share it with someone who dares stand in front of Eleanor's portrait. And if you've ever experienced something similar, something you can't quite explain, drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Subscribe for more stories like this, because the world is full of mysteries we can't explain. And the next one might be waiting just behind you. Thanks for watching. Sleep well.